Hello everyone, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me and happy Monday. Today I have a ghost story video for you, which you know if you join me here Mondays. If this is your first time here, Mondays is where I read my subscribers' ghost stories that they send into me here at this email address. Normal email, a video, audio, whatever you want to send, go ahead and send it right there for me. You can see I have a few prosthetic scars on my face today. I've done my hair a bit differently. Because I want to post an image on Instagram, another Halloween image, and I'm quite heavily editing them to make them more like Halloween-y, you know? So we are doing Frankenstein today, but we're doing Frankenstein like it's like, you know what? My film was a huge success and I'm going to start to take this acting thing a little bit more seriously. So we're doing like Frankenstein's headshots today for his like, you know, acting career. But listen, I just want to tell you about a giveaway I am doing, which I can't smile too much because these are going to come off. Yes, a jewelry giveaway I'm doing with Steamboat Willie. Now, so I have a few of their pieces already, but we are doing a giveaway together today. And what you can win is you can see these stackers on my hand here. They have these really cute web shape rings here. And then they have these other rings that you can stack on top. Now, if you're a Disney fan like me, you are going to die over these. So what we are giving away is a web stacker here with your choice of ring to stack on top. So you can choose out of the Morbid Mouse, the Pumpkin, the Mouse Web, or the Mouse Outline, which I can't find. But I'll put up here. So we are giving those away. Here's how you can win. So all you have to do is follow me and Steamboat Willie on Instagram. I'll put all of this in the description box as well so you can check back. On my Instagram, you will find a reel, which is also this giveaway. And all you have to do is comment on that reel your favorite spooky season activity and tag a friend. If you want to tag more friends, you can do so in separate comments. Don't do it all in one, do it all in separate ones. And then for 5 extra entries, if you share this reel to your stories, tag me and Steamboat Willie on Instagram, and that will give you those 5 extra entries. This giveaway is open to the US and the UK, and the giveaway closes on Friday, October the 29th at midnight. UK time, that's 5 p.m. PST. And the winner will be announced on Sunday, the 31st of October. Okay, so like I said, I'll leave all of that in the description box below so you can see exactly what to do. Okay, let's get into it. Frankenstein feeling himself. He really wants to get his acting career on point. A lot of the final result I'm going to have to do off camera because it's going to take a while. I'm going to have to make myself green, and I'm actually recording this really late. I'm going out later today, so I need to crack on with it, and I can't really be talking while I do so. Shit, I haven't mixed up my colors, so all my eye bases and stuff are going to be green, so I just need to mix the right shades. Bear with me one moment. Also as well, I'll put the finished look up on my Instagram, but if you don't have an Instagram, because I know everyone doesn't have Instagram, I will put the image on my community tab because this will be Monday, so it's going to go up on Wednesday. So watch out here on my community tab on Wednesday. I'll put it up with a reminder about the giveaway too. Okay, hi. So our first story today is called The Touch of Fear. Ooh. Hello, Robert. I hope you are fine. I am fine. This is my experience with a strange man. It started back in 2016 when I was 16 years old. I was sitting on a bench with my best friend at the time. We were just talking stupid things like all girls our age do, when a man came up to us and asked us about a store. I am not a person who judges physical appearance, but this man has particular aspects. Eyes too big and large, a huge mouth, yellow teeth, hunchback, and very long hands. I kindly said we don't know any stores. He smiled and told me, "Thanks, you're a sweetie," and left. The next day we were sitting on the same bench. Again, he came up to us, this time asking me what time it was. I told him the time and he said again, "Thanks, you're a sweetie." It started getting weird. We kept seeing him almost every day for about 3 months. After a year, he started coming to the church I go to. You can imagine the fear I felt when I first saw him. Every time he came, I was hiding behind the people around me. One time, he came to my high school. One day in 2018, I was sitting with a friend, Mary, on a bench, looking down at a ladybug. when I hear that fucking voice asking, "Can you tell me what time it is?" Of course, I knew who it was without even looking. It's 1:31 p.m. I will never forget that time. He was standing like half a meter in front of me. "Oh, thank you," he said. But this time, instead of the usual, "Thanks, you're a sweetie," he asked, "Did the university enrollment start yet?" I should have left and never looked back, but my stupid ass kept answering. "I don't know," I said. "Oh, so you're not there yet? One more year?" I looked at him. He was staring directly into my eyes. He raised his right hand in the direction of my face and tried to touch it while saying, "You're such a beautiful girl." It says, "Nah, sis." At that moment, I shit myself. I raised my left hand, shaking, and yelled at him not to touch me. He stopped, looked at me, and said, "Okay," then left. I've seen him a few more times since then, but never let him see me. The next year, I left for university. I hope you liked my story. I sure didn't back then. No, and I can see why. You know what? People are so creepy. It's the audacity of men who think that it's okay to creep on women. That's stalking. That is like full-on stalking, and it's not right. Like what do they think is gonna? Do they think you're gonna fall in love with them because they've been following it? Like, honestly, I don't understand it. I really don't. Thank you so much for your story. And if that creep is still hanging around, call the fucking police. You know what? Record him, film him, and be like, "You know what? You want to speak to me? Every time you speak to me, I am recording you. I am filming you. Say whatever the fuck you want, but it's gonna be on social media everywhere. Send it to me. I will share that for you." I'm not even joking. So I'm just using these greens to, because I'm doing like such a flat shape, I need to add like depth back to the face. So this will be my contour shade also. So our next story is called Haunted After Renovations. It says, "Hi Robert. There were several events that happened in my mum's house where I grew up, but really intense stuff started happening when she started renovations on the garage to turn it into an extension of the living room. One night when I had some friends over for a sleepover, we all saw a figure in the kitchen of what seemed to be a little girl in tattered clothes and dark matted hair. From that point on, she would appear in my dreams frequently. Sometimes I would be dreaming that I woke up and turned my head to see her sitting on the floor next to my bed. Her face was never visible. The best way I can describe it is that it appeared as if she had no facial features or her face was blurred. Now, the most undeniable proof for me that she was real occurred one night when I was alone in the finished renovated living room. I had gotten up to grab a glass of water and then sat back down on a couch. From where I was sitting, the kitchen was diagonal. You could see clearly into it, and I noticed the fridge was open. Its light was on and everything. I thought I must have closed it wrong, thought nothing of it, and got up to close the fridge again. When I sat back down, again the fridge was open. Now, frustrated, I repeated this again, but ensured I moved things out the way, closed the door, and made sure it stayed that way. Satisfied, I sat back down. About 5 seconds later, I see with my very own eyes the refrigerator door open and close, open and close, open and close. I got up, pretending I saw nothing, and stayed in my room for the rest of the night. I would have done exactly the same thing. No, I would have screamed, and then I would have gone to my room for the rest of the night. Honestly, I feel like, I don't know, I just feel like people are so calm in those situations. I always think, it's really hard to put yourself in a position of, oh, what would I actually do if that actually happened to me? Like, would you be calm enough to be like, you know what, I just need to get out of here, let the ghost do what it needs to do? Well, we have an audio story next, and this is called Hellhound. Ooh.
Hey Robert, my name's Summit. I love your videos. And one of them actually jogged this memory that I had actually forgot about. We just recently moved into this small home in Fairborn, Ohio. I no longer live there. I now live far away by several states. So no worries there. Now, the house that my mom had bought had been renovated on, so it wasn't new. So if that gives like a little bit of context as to possibly this being a resort of what happened in the house prior. Now, I didn't do any research though, so I'm not sure if this has any link to that, unfortunately. Now, I would label this as top 5 though, of the experiences that I've had in this house with them. So for background, my entire family was in the living room watching the newest Avengers movie that had come out about 2 years ago, and by this time, I believe I think 23, I believe. Now, I'm in my room and I'm playing Sims, like any teenager would, in the dark. And I see out of the corner of my eye this dark shadow. And now, this isn't the scariest part, unfortunately, but I can just see this thing peering into my room and watching me. And it's interesting, though, because it doesn't have a shape. There's no shape to it at all. It's more so like just a mass of black. Now, I try to ignore it until I see it step further into my room. So now I think that it's one of my siblings that have just wandered in and wanted to know what I was up to. So I turn to look, and unbeknownst to me, there's literally nothing there. Great. So, I do what anyone would do, and I kind of just sat there for a second, contemplating whether I should go into the living room and watch the Avengers movie with the rest of my family, or if I should sit there and still play Sims. Well, I apparently just didn't care, and I sat there still playing Sims, because I was just like, you're not gonna take away from my game, okay? Thanks. So, I try to continue until I hear this deep, guttural growl. And I just froze because I didn't know what to do at that point. Now, I have had spiritual experiences, or well, paranormal experiences at my mom's house before, but it was nothing like this. At least that's what I thought until more stuff happened. But that's for another time. Now, this stopped, and then I just continued to play the game, trying to not freak out, trying to not panic, because I didn't want this thing to know that I was scared, obviously. Because I feel like if you show fear, then they know that they can get to you, or have some form of control over you, and that's not what I wanted, obviously. So, I then continued playing the game until I heard it again. But this time, along with a flash image in my head, almost like my third eye was just like, we're gonna show you what this thing looks like. And without me being able to say yes or no to this, it just flashed in my head, and I just saw this giant black dog, and I'm gonna call it a demon dog, because, or maybe a hellhound even, I'm not sure. And it looks at me with these piercing red eyes, and almost, actually kind of almost as red as my hair, yeah, except more like glowing, you know? And it was just the most terrifying thing I've ever seen in my entire life, because I can see teeth, but then there's like no other form for it except for the ears and the eyes. And then the fact that it's standing on its hind legs, staring at me as it's growling. And then it goes into like a playful dog pant, like whenever they're trying to get your attention to play. And then it just vanishes, like out of my head, of course. And then after that, I never had any other issues with that thing ever again. Needless to say, I'm very glad that I don't live there anymore. But I hope you enjoyed my story, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much. I did enjoy that story. That is crazy to think as well. Oh, how disappointing. It's like, even I love all dogs, so for even like a demon dog not to like me, I'll be like, please like me. But it seemed like it did like you, right? Like it was on your side. Maybe it just wanted to play like all dogs. Thank you so much. That's right. Your makeup looks beautiful. I love that orange and black. It looks so good. Okay, so we have next up, as is custom, Marcus reading us 2 stories. Is it this one?
Hi, yeah, you may have noticed 2 weeks ago I didn't say anything at the end. I just finished the stories. That's because Robert's actually made me sign a contract that I'm not going to say anything at the end of the bits where I do the stories, which is now. He's a bit worried about all the... But I can't say about... But you know, the stories about the poo bags. He's worried about that. So, like, coming out, being more... Like, finding out more about it. Like everyone. Finding out more about it. So that's why I don't say anything after I finish my stories. Okay. This first story is called The Man Buried in My Garden. Hi, Robert. I love your channel, as well as your podcast. Hope you and James are doing okay. Okay. It's a bit of a long one, but worth a read, especially if you want a bit of the true crime as well as ghosties. When I was 16, my mum and I moved from our village into a town. We got a really good deal on a house and presumed that it was just because it needed some work done. Whilst living there, I always felt aggravated and in a bad mood, heavy and claustrophobic. It got to the point where I stopped staying there when I could, as it was affecting me too much. In that time, strange things would happen. Multiple times, the end of curtain poles would fall off, but not straight down, almost across the room. There would be bangs from the bathroom upstairs, and different products or ornaments would have fallen off the cabinet and broken. I would see the bottom corner of my curtain fold back while I was doing my makeup in the mirror. One day I was in the front garden cutting the hedge. A woman came up to me. "Are you not scared of living in this house?" We got to talking and she told me that there was once a family, a wife, husband and daughter that lived here. The husband worked abroad a lot. However, when he was home, he was abusive. One day, when he came home, the woman had decided enough was enough, so they attempted to poison him. However, it didn't work. So, apparently, they bludgeoned him with a rolling pin. They then wrapped him up in a carpet and eventually buried him in the garden. When anyone asked where he went, they said he was working abroad and left them for another life. 6 years went by. My neighbour, who still lived there when we moved in, was changing the fence and dug him up. My mum remembered this happening a while back, but had no idea that this was the house. The problem was we had committed now. There was not much we could do. So we had to get on with it, and reluctantly lived in the house for the next 5 years. I would avoid the garden when possible, and made sure that the curtains were always closed. However, the worst time was last Christmas. We had some friends over and we were talking about what had happened, and saying that there was always been a miserable and dark presence in this house. At that moment there was a huge smash in the kitchen. We all screamed and my stepdad reluctantly went to go and check. All of our glasses had smashed on the floor, but the cabinet was still on the wall. I was convinced that it had happened in my bedroom, as my dog, who always used to sleep on my bed, refused to come in my room. We eventually smudged the house and attempted to bless it, but we sold it in the end. And yes, we did tell the new owners before they brought it. Story 2 is called The Skull. Hi Robert, I don't usually email anything, but my mum has been telling me a lot of ghost stories from both mine and her childhood, so I have some things to send. When my mum was training to be a doctor, quite a while ago, it was at a time before you could get all the information widely available online, and she lived in Pakistan, which also made it more difficult. So for her anatomy lessons, what she would use to study was real human bones, because the fake skeletons were not up to par at the time. She used to have all sorts of bones to study with, femurs, radii, ulnars, etc. However, for our most recent exam, she needed a skull. Lucky enough, her sister, who is a professor of medicine, was able to find one at her university. My mum was quite happy and began to use it for her studies. She would use it throughout the day and then store it away inside a locked cabinet at night. However, one night she got really tired and fell asleep with the skull on her work desk, facing towards the window. That night she was woken by loud banging and scratching on her bedroom door, as if someone was trying to get in. So she got up and noticed the skull was still on her desk, facing the window, but went to check the door assuming it was one of her younger brothers trying to mess with her. To her surprise, when she opened the door, no one was there. It would have been impossible for it to be her brothers pranking her, because her brother's room was on the opposite side of the house, and it was banging right up until she opened the door. She was very confused, but decided she'd put the skull away nonetheless. When she looked back at the skull, it had turned away from the window and was staring directly at her. Understandably, she freaked out and went to go sleep with her mum. The next day, she told her sister to take the skull back to the university, and after that, the banging did not continue. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed all of those ghost stories, Robert. I'm not allowed to say anything. Okay, bye.
Thank you so much for sharing your stories. And Marcus, if you say anything else again, I will be suing you for defamation. Well, okay, we have another story for me to read, and this is called The Spirit That Saved My Life. All right. This is, hey Robert, I love this ghosty series that you do, and I anticipate every video you upload. Thank you. You're so informative, and it's really helpful to take my makeup from Insta to realistic makeup that looks good. Thank you for that. My absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. Just FYI, my story does have trigger warnings for mental health, self-harm, and suicide attempts. So back when I was 12 years old, I sadly lost my grandmother. After her passing, I always had a lot of regrets that she was never able to see me become the person that I was destined to be. For the ages of 15 to 18, I was maliciously bullied for my sexuality and being a boy in makeup. I became heavily depressed and started self-harming. I suffered a few more years with depression, and one day I decided I wanted to end it all. I just didn't want to live where I clearly wasn't accepted. The night before I planned to take my life, I was woken from my sleep. There on my bed was the spirit of my nan. She looked exactly how I remembered, and it was her words that have now stayed with me in my time of need. Her words were, "I know times are hard for you right now, but you have got so much to live for. I'm so proud of you, proud of who you've become and what you're achieving. So many people love you. I love you." Before I have a chance to respond, she gently squeezed my hand and vanished. Hearing those words of validation really saved my life, because it linked to the regrets I had with her passing. Anytime I feel low, I remember those words of comfort, and how tomorrow is another day to start over. Oh, thank you. That was a really, really nice story. First of all, thank you for sharing your experience with us. I know it can't be easy to talk about. And here's the thing, I think we go through life worrying so much about people's, opinions on us, and people can say some really nasty things, but at the end of the day, all that matters are the opinions of the people you care about and the people who care about you and know you as a person. As tough as it can be, and especially when you're younger as well, and you're trying to figure out who you are as a person, not just, sexuality wise, but in general. If you're told constantly, something's wrong with you, something's like that, then you're going to start to believe it. And I can imagine it starts to get into your head quite a bit. So again, thank you for sharing that story with us. That is so, so sweet. I love that. Thank you. We have 2 TikToks to watch. And after last week, if you haven't seen 2 weeks ago, but the last week's version of this video, please go and check it out, because that was the scariest fucking video. Okay, so I'm hoping it's not as scary this week. Let's take a look at our first one. Please don't be scary. Or do, but don't.
Okay, so I was in my room. I just heard a loud ass fucking bang. And I know I have to record this so someone can believe me. Hello? What the fuck? That's my sister's dog. What the fuck? Fuck that, dude!
Oh. That's just leave. Just leave that house. Get out that house. Houses aren't worth it. I can't imagine, like, just how annoying it would be to have a ghost in your house just fucking around with all your stuff all the time. Especially having, like, pets or children. Like, the worry that a ghost is gonna, like, you know, I don't know, throw them across the room or possess them. So I'm just doing like a base layer of this, and then I'm gonna go around with another layer, and then I'm gonna have to do some Photoshop work to get it in my beard here, so I don't have like a green beard. I want my beard to be black. I'm scared. I'm scared of like last week really did scar me. Okay, go.
Hello? Hello? Keep hearing weird noises in the basement, Steve, so I just want to... Oh my god. No fucking way, no way, oh my god. See, bro, there's nothing on this fucking door. Hello? Yep, fuck that, I'm not going down there.
I would never go down there again. Actually, I would put a bolt deadlock on that door. No way in hell. Absolutely no way. Okay, well, I'm very, very green. Oh my god, it makes your teeth look so white. Okay, so neck will be photoshopped green because I just don't have the time. I'm just going to do a few little details, and then the finished look will be on Instagram, so unfortunately you have to wait 2 days to see it. But yes, remember to enter the giveaway. I have left everything in the description box below for you on how to enter, so please don't ask me how to enter. Everything is below for you. If you have a ghost story yourself you've seen from this episode, it doesn't have to be ghosts, it can just be some creepy, weird people. Send them right here to this email address and I will get around to read them. Thank you again for joining me, and I will see you very, very soon. Bye.